All right, welcome to the life and flow design process. How to get more of the important stuff done in less time. I feel like this is what everybody has been asking me about. Like they want to have the time to do their self-care. They want to have the time to, do all the things they love to do, all their hobbies, and even just get their work done. People from all aspects of life have been coming to me with this, and I've been mastering this process for the past 4 years, and it just works so well on many levels. A, to free up your mental bandwidth, and so you have less stress. And B, it actually facilitates the law of attraction because of the way that we design our schedules and ultimately our lives. So I'm really excited to share this training with you guys. And Brittany is here. She's one of my clients who's going to be, she and I are going to be going through this together, and I'm going to be helping her as I teach you the process, and she'll be like the example that we use. So welcome, Brittany.
Happy to do this finally.
Yeah. So first, let's talk about what most people do when they plan their day. And what most people do is they really look at it like daily planning or even weekly planning. Mm-hmm. And then they have their to-do list, and they have their calendar, and they try out all the planners. And especially if you're an entrepreneur, then it just kind of sometimes comes with the territory of being an entrepreneur, where you have a little bit of that ADD, and sometimes that affects executive functioning. And sometimes planning can be really hard, and you feel like you're, just in the weeds all the time, never really making any progress. Like you're doing a lot of stuff, but you're not really accomplishing the things that you want to accomplish. And you get to the end of the day, and it's like, what did I even do today? So I know that for me, that was a really big thing. Especially, I used to manage a health food store, and there was so much stuff to do, and I had no system for any of it. And I would get to the end of the day, and I would feel more behind than I did at the beginning of the day. And so this really fixes that whole issue. And this is what I'm going to be showing you. It's the life and flow design process. It's a lifestyle. It's an approach. This is not just like a time management thing. This is like how you address your life, how you build your life, because these moments, these days, these weeks, these months, that is your life. It's all adding up to how you're living and your lifestyle. So let's get started. Okay, so there are essentially 7 steps to this process. And you can see here, number 1, look at how many bullet points I have. Let me just make sure I'm actually sharing. Okay, I'm sharing. Can you see that, Brittany?
Yep,
that
I
screen?
can see it.
Okay, cool. You can see there's 5 bullet points under the first step. Who are you? So that kind of tells you that that's the most important part of the whole process. If you don't know who you are, then you don't know who you're designing your life for. You don't know, there's nothing to back up. Like, why do you have those things on your to-do list? Is it because somebody told you to? Is it because you were taught to? Is it because you're trying to fit in to some kind of a box? Or because it's really what you as an individual should be doing, or that you as an individual, it's part of your big vision for yourself, your unique person. So take a lot of notes, because this is the kind of thing that it doesn't happen overnight. It takes a lot of practice. It actually took me about a year of doing this consistently to really sink in. And maybe I'm a slow learner, but hopefully it doesn't take you that long. And I hope the way that I'm teaching it, you'll pick it up faster. But definitely take notes. And watch this video again if you need to just have that refresher. So number 1, who are you? This is going to take a little bit of thought process. All right. So you want to get clear on what kind of person are you? What do people like you do? And how do they show up? And Brittany was in my the manifestation challenge group, or she still is. And this is one of we spent almost an entire session just on this question. What kind of a person are you? And you probably learned what kind of person you are from your family. And they probably tried to put you into their own box. They probably tried to compare you to different family members. And they just did what they knew. They knew what kind of person they were taught to be, so they were teaching you how to be that kind of person as well. So right now is a good time to get really clear on who are you really behind all of that stuff. I heard a story recently about it's a fable about a lion who was raised by sheep. And it's the lion from the day it was born somehow got into a sheep herd, and the sheep raised it. And when it was an adult, it was, this big burly lion who was acting like a sheep. And another big burly lion came up to it and was like, dude, what are you doing? You're a lion. Why are you hanging out with all these sheep and eating grass? And the lion was like, what do you mean? I'm a sheep. This is what I'm supposed to do. And he's like, all right, come over to this water and look at your reflection and tell me what you see. And the lion was like, oh my gosh, I'm not really a sheep. And that's kind of what happens during this process when you figure out who are you really. You're not the person that your parents raised you to be. They raised you to be themselves. Not intentionally. I mean, that's just, we can't help ourselves when we're raising kids. We raise our kids to be ourselves unless we're really intentional about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Okay. So get really clear in that. And Nikki, you can chime in here too. Do you want to give us some thoughts on this question, just so people can have some examples? I know, Brittany, you've already gone through this yourself a little bit. So what was your process like coming up with the kind of person you are and getting clear on that?
So I guess I could say it in this way. People like me are I am a person who likes connection. I'm a person who likes to take action, but I do better when I take inspired action. So I don't do good, or I do well with taking action that is meaningful to me and impactful to other people. I'm the type of person that likes to work smarter and not harder. So when I feel myself overextending and I'm not getting as much done as, I guess, not getting the right things done, it becomes frustrating, and then I don't want to do anything. I show up from more of a heart-centered space. So like anything that I'm doing, like my heart has to be involved. Like if I'm not passionate about it, then the likelihood of me getting it done is probably not going to happen. But if I'm passionate about it, it's something that's like, I guess, like true to my heart, I'll give it everything. So what I do has to be true to my heart. Otherwise, I'm just going to half-ass.
I love that. And is that who you showed up? Is that who you were raised to be?
Absolutely not. And I think that's why this transitional space of my life has been such a challenge, because I keep trying to kind of just go through the motions and just go through life doing what I was taught and being the way that I should be, as opposed to, like being who I am. So I was taught to be a people pleaser. And I was taught that kind of to be like the person that's like the person that wears the mask, the person that's
Mm-hmm.
camouflage. So
Yeah.
if I have to show up in this space, then I'm required to be this certain way. But if I go into this other space, then I have to become something completely different. There's no constant, I guess, in like who I am. It's just like who I need to be to fit the moment or to get whatever I need to be to get done. So I
Mhm.
found myself, and I'm still working through it, but like negotiating who I am to get what I want or get the
Yes.
work done.
Oh my gosh, I love that you brought that up, Brittany. And I think a lot of people can relate to that, especially people who have the kind of background that you have, where there were a lot of emotional traumas early on in your life, and that is a very when you say showing up as different people, as a different person in different situations,
Mm-hmm.
that's what when you grow up in a high stress environment,
Mm-hmm.
that's super common, and I want to address that at another time as well, because I have some really cool processes around that
Mm-hmm.
that help. And so if for whoever's watching and listening, if you can relate to that feeling of like, okay, what kind of person are you? And then you feel like, well, it depends on the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, this is it's something to look deeper into, and this process is going to be extra good for you because you can unify all those different aspects of yourself through this first step, and you can say, well, let's make a decision. What kind how are we meaning the collective that's inside of yourself, how are we going to all work in harmony and unison and show up, and what's our what kind of abundance do we accept in our lives, what
Mm-hmm.
kind of love do we accept in our lives, what kind of what's our quality of life that we people like us get to enjoy. So get really clear on that stuff. Number two, this gets even more specific. What are your guiding principles? This is going to take a little bit of thought, I think, for a lot of people, because it's not something that's talked about very often. But Brittany and Nikki, if you're able to chime in here, do you have any ideas just off the top of your head of some of your guiding principles?
Um, for me, I'll definitely say like, and this has been it's been challenging to kind of like come to grips with. I think my number one guiding principle is freedom.
Yeah.
Freedom, and then the next I would say is love, and then the next I would say is integrity.
I love that. Freedom, love, and integrity. And so write those things down, and you'll find that when you declare that, it's like you're announcing it, you're writing it down. That's kind of your commitment to yourself. That's going to influence the way that you design your life.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you answer that question, it's telling the rest of the process, okay, we're going to base everything else on these guiding principles. If they don't match those guiding principles, it's not going to drip all the way down to the schedule. We're going to eliminate it right then and there. It's not even going to come out on the paper.
Mm-hmm.
Number three, what are your most important values? And so that's this is something that you can brainstorm
Mm-hmm.
and just make a list, like brain dump a list of your most important values, and um, come up with like your top three, and then put a star next to the most important one. And for most people, it's going to be a combination of like love and connection, or significance, or certainty,
Mm-hmm.
or variety,
Mm-hmm.
or contribution, or growth. And everybody's got all of those things, but you're typically going to value top three of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you get really clear on that, again, it's going to do the same thing as coming up with your guiding principles. Like if you know that in order to feel really fulfilled and happy, you have to feel like you're making a really good contribution and that you're growing, it's going to influence what you make the priority in your life. And
Mm-hmm.
so a lot of us, this is like me, I don't know if you can relate to this, but I tend to have all these kind of things in my head.
Mm-hmm.
And when I, like, my to-do list is in my head, it's so confusing and it feels so overwhelming. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm the kind of person where I just want to do everything and I can't do everything. So when I get really clear on these priorities, and if there's something in my head that isn't fulfilling that contribution or that growth, or that connection, then I'm going to put it at the very bottom of my list because it's not really serving me personally.
Mm-hmm.
And you can design your business that way. You can design your family that way. You can design, your whole life based on that stuff. So number 4, where are you now in each area of your life? So let's see, actually, there's a step in there that as you come up with where are you now in each area of your life, what are the areas of your life that you're focusing on right now? So Brittany, tell me what areas you're focusing the most on, like
Like,
business, health, relationships, things like that.
I think the biggest area I'm focusing on right now is love and connection. It's like
Mm-hmm.
I'm in this space of my life where I'm in my life, but where I'm having like a heart opening. Um,
Yeah.
like obviously with myself first and foremost, but I spent a lot of my life because I never really had like love and connection and relationships, kind of like pretending like I didn't need it. And then I
Mm-hmm.
realize now that like that's the most important thing to me.
Yeah.
And so I'm in a space where love and connection is probably like the top focus
Mm-hmm.
because I realized how much I need it. And then secondly, growth, just like getting, I guess you can say just like really getting through like this transitional space. Like that's like the top two. And I think I get a little bit anxious because I haven't really figured out exactly how to focus on those things
Mm-hmm.
and like move my business forward and get like things done financially. Like that's typically like my main focus and everything else is behind
Mm-hmm.
that. But like I'm trying to balance it out and I don't really, that's what I'm trying to figure out how to do both.
Okay, awesome. So what's really interesting, and it's great that you have clarity around that love and connection and growth are your top priorities, you can find different ways to fulfill those needs.
Mm-hmm.
And so they don't have to come in the forms that you have already been getting them. Like you can get them, like you can find a way to make every activity about growth and about love and connection. And we can
Mm-hmm.
talk about that more as we go down.
Okay.
Um, and so with your, let's just go through a list of each area of your life. So you've got your health,
Mm-hmm.
and so write these down.
Okay.
You've got your health, you've got your relationships, which could be friendships, could be romantic connections. And so for whoever, for the listeners here, you can just apply this to your situation. So if you're married or if you're dating somebody, then you can separate romantic and platonic relationships. So health, relationships, career, finances, personal happiness or fulfillment. And then think if there are any other really important categories that you tend to that are just really prevalent in your life right now. Parenting is one for a lot of people. It might be, you might have a parent that you are taking care of, so that you could add that in. So those are your basic categories, and then you can rate where are you now in each of those categories. And it's good to get, excuse me, a lot of clarity on that, because then you know what you need to bring, what you need to balance out. So if you're doing really well financially, but then all of a sudden you realize your relationships have gone to crap, then you know that, okay, you can visually see this is an area that I'm going to put a little bit more energy into when I'm doing my planning and scheduling. Okay. And then what are your top 3 thriving activities? This is another question that we asked in the Manifestation Challenge group. And just to clarify, this life and flow design process, this is part of a manifestation process. This is going to assist law of attraction so that you naturally start attracting the things that you really want. And so that's why we're getting really clear on these identity components. So what are your top 3 thriving activities? And these are activities that are personal activities. It's not about your business. This is about you personally, like your self-care. There are 3 things where if you did nothing else in the day, these 3 things would move you forward.
So for me, one is like physical movement, so like working out. 2 is, this is new for me, so I don't know how to really, I guess, like put it into a word, like a activity. But I find that when I have like some type of self-expression, like I feel really energized. So, I mean, I've been playing with stuff, so like my body talks are like amazing for me. But like even if it's like journaling, or like sometimes like I'll take a walk and I'll kind of like just record myself like talking. But anytime, any kind of like self-expression, like genuine self-expression, that helps. And in this space, like anything that really deals with like water, like I've played with it a little bit. So like bathing is really good. Like sometimes it's showering, or sometimes it's just going out and like sitting in front of the lake. Like something that's dealing with water is just very soothing, but also very like energizing for me.
Awesome. Perfect. And what I recommend for people with their thriving activities is to make sure that their 3 things, or at least one of them, addresses multiple layers at once. Like it's going to be moving you forward on all levels, so that by doing it consistently, you find it provides exponential growth naturally. So it's something that addresses your body, your mind, your spirit, and also, you know, all those categories that we just came up with. Your it assists your finances, your family, your health, all of those things together. Okay, so that's our step 1, where you come up with who are you, and you get really clear on the identity that you know you are. And you may not feel like you're totally that yet, but it's something that you're striving to express more of. Does that make sense? Number 2, what do you want? So we got clear on who you are. Now we're going to get clear on what do you want? What is your ultimate intention for your life? Knowing now what your values are, what your guiding principles are, and what do people like you do, and how do you show up?
So I would say that the ultimate intention for my life is to live a life of personal freedom and personal truth. I mean, ultimately, that's what it is. Everything else falls into that.
Yeah. So what we're doing here with number 2 is creating like the destination. That is like the ultimate destination. And everything that we do from here is going to point directly at that destination.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So you said personal freedom, and what was the other aspect of it?
Just like I said, personal truth, but well, not but when I say personal truth, I mean just a life of like who I truly am, like
Yeah.
living like authentically me, like unapologetically. Like I get the most sense of fulfillment from that.
Awesome. All right. Um, and number 3, what are your top categories of your life? So we kind of already came up with those things,
Mm-hmm.
but now you can get really clear and you can get really specific with them. Like, so if you said career, then you can narrow it down and say, okay, what, like your business or your job, um, and if there are any other categories that you can break apart and get really specific with,
Mm-hmm.
because these are categories that you're going to be revisiting every single week.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to make sure that you're addressing every single one of those categories every week. Every time you do your planning, you're going to have those categories in front of you. Okay, so what are your, let's see, so we're going to go now into this worksheet. So Brittany, tell me, we're just going to take notes here. Okay, so what are your categories?
When you say categories, you're talking about like the love and connection thing?
No, like what are your areas of focus? I should be more specific there.
Okay, so my areas of focus is my areas of focus is growing my brand to 6 figures. Is that what you mean?
Yes, that's more like a goal or an outcome. But so what's that category? That category would be like your business, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess you can say like business. My main focuses right now is business and relationships, like self
Mm-hmm.
included. The relationship with myself included.
And you can still see what I'm doing, right?
No, I can't see it.
Oh, darn it. Okay, hold on a second.
Okay.
I think I have to share in a different way.
Okay.
All right. Just share screen, I think. Okay, now can you see what I'm doing?
I can.
You can see the Word document?
I can
Okay,
see it.
cool. Awesome. Okay, so relationship with self, relationship with others. What else? Your personal health.
Personal health.
Okay. Anything else at this time?
And I'm trying to figure out how to word it. Like um like better understanding or like my voice. I don't know how to like
Mm.
really word it, but like really coming into like my own voice. If that
Would
makes
that
sense.
be like personal expression?
But I think that's a good way to say it.
Okay. Now, these are going to be very fluid. You're going to have different seasons where these categories are going to be changing. And
Mhm.
that's one reason it's important to do this every single week to get clear on, okay, this week, where are we really at? Like, this is part of this process is about getting away from doing the things you should be doing and doing the
Mhm.
things you really want to do and are really resonating with where you are in every moment. So, okay. Okay, let's go back to this. All right. Okay, so what is your ultimate intention for them? Okay. So I'm just going to explain this and then we'll go back into actually adding to this. So what you're going to do now is take each of these categories and bring them. See how I have on this worksheet? I actually do this in a notebook myself, and then I put it on a whiteboard. But I thought for the purposes of this training, I would just make this worksheet and you can do whatever's easiest. But transfer these categories to these little sections here. So business, relationships, and then you answer the questions for each one. So you're going to come up with your ultimate outcomes and intentions for each of those areas. And then you say why. And this is going to seem a little bit monotonous. Like, seriously, every single week you have to say why, these things are so important. And like why the intention is so important. But this is part of that law of attraction process, because you are emotionally connecting with it and you're reminding yourself, like, these aren't just arbitrary tasks. Like this is your life, and this is your meaning, your purpose, this is your mission. And if your to-do list is not part of your mission in some way, like if you cannot trace like doing the dishes back to your mission, then don't do it. You know what I mean? But when you get clear where it's like, okay, doing the dishes brings peace and harmony into my home, like that is a powerful statement, and that's going to give a whole new meaning to doing the dishes. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense.
Okay.
And it's really good for me, because that's what I mean when I say, like, I work better when I'm doing inspired action. Anything else is dreadful, and I usually just check out.
That's a really good point, Brittany. This is like a whole process of inspired action. So let's see. And then we're going to brain dump the how, and then prioritize and delegate, and then put it on the schedule. So let's just dive into that process now. So we'll put business, relationships with self. Everybody's going to have different categories. Sometimes I have like 12 categories. Sometimes I've got 4. It all depends on what phase, what stage I'm in with what I'm working on. Okay. So we've got 5 categories. And if you think of anything else while I'm doing this, Brittany, just let me know.
Okay.
Okay, so for business, and we're not going to go through all of these. We don't really have time to do that right now in the session. We're going to go through a couple of them, but you'll get the idea for the rest of the process. What is your ultimate outcome for your business?
You said the ultimate outcome?
Yes. And okay, so there's you're going to want to periodically do the ultimate outcome. Like the first time you ever do this, you definitely want to find out the ultimate outcome for these different categories. Keep it somewhere where you can look at it consistently, like post it up in your office or something. But then when you do your weekly planning sheet, like this, what we're doing here, you don't need to come up with your ultimate outcome every week, but what's your outcome for the week? So let's just, for the purpose of doing this example, let's say, what is your intention for this week? What's your ultimate outcome for this week with your business?
My ultimate outcome this week for my business is to meet my current daily goal, income goal, and to get at least 2 new clients.
Okay. Now, just a side note on this, and see, this is why this is a really good process to do every week, is because it can help you to really reflect on and be intentional about it.
Mm-hmm.
The daily income goal, that's something just to think about, like, because things fluctuate naturally. And so it seems like a lot of pressure to put on yourself to have a daily income goal.
I'm so glad you said that. Like, like literally, that is kind of like a relief. Um, and it's a relief, and it helps me because that's what I do. Like, I put a lot of pressure, like I think
Yeah.
unnecessary pressure on myself. So that's good that you said that, because yeah, that helps. That helps
Awesome.
a lot.
So what you might want to do is come up with a monthly income goal, and then find out what it takes to meet that monthly income goal, and then just focus on the things. Like, take your focus away from the money and just do the things that make the money.
I
You know what I
see.
mean?
I see.
So how do you want me to word this here?
So if we're changing the outcome, then I would say my ultimate outcome this week is to make it's to make my brand more visible. I think that would allow me to get more clients, which would lead to more money, or lead to meeting the goal. More visible, and my message more like direct, like speaking directly to like who I'm talking to. I feel like that is what I say about, like, that helps in terms of like connection. Like, I want to connect with the people that I'm talking to.
Yes. Yeah. And then again, the wording is really powerful, and really important. So we can say, like, make powerful connections. Powerful connections with who?
With my tribe, like with my direct audience. Like, not, I mean, obviously not just random people, but like with my tribe. I feel like that makes the interaction more fulfilling, and it makes the sale not really a sale. It just is kind of like, you understand what I do and you understand the value of it, type of thing.
Right. Okay, so for me, that make powerful connections with my tribe is the most powerful part of the statement.
Okay.
But this is, I'm make it your own as well. I'm just, as an outsider looking in, I can see that, like, if you every day, every week focus on making powerful connections with your tribe, I mean, imagine the impact that's going to make in your business. Okay. And then why is it so important to make your brand more visible, make the powerful connections, and enroll 2 new clients?
It's important because it's kind of like what you said, like it kind of meets a lot of my needs. Like I, or want, however you want to say, like I need to make more money. I like to do business that's based on, like I want to connect with people. It's the main reason why I do what I do. And then I think making the brand more visible is just giving me more opportunity to connect with the people that I'm talking to, which is more opportunity to make the money that I want to make.
Cool. Awesome. And how do you feel about, because your business is all about transforming lives, right?
Yeah, I work with women, and I like to say that I support them in creating the life, love, and body that they want. And I think like the underlying thing is like first, like understanding who they are, so that they can, because a lot of women that I deal with, they think it's just like the physical body that's causing like the issues, but it's delving deeper into like the disconnection that they have with themselves, really.
Awesome. And how does that make you feel? Like, how do you feel about that process, about transforming lives and empowering women?
It makes me feel amazing. Like it makes me feel significant, but not in like an
Mm-hmm.
egotistical way. It makes me feel like I am like contributing something.
Mm-hmm.
And then like this is in part like my own personal journey. So I feel like it's kind of like I'm learning and healing as I'm helping, if that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense.
Yep. Okay. And you can, tweak this. I'm going to give you a copy of this. You
Okay.
can tweak it to be in your own words. Um, okay. And then we're not going to do the action yet.
Okay.
Okay. So we're going to, all right. So we're going to backtrack just one step.
Okay.
Okay. So before we get clear on the outcome in the why, we're going to relieve some of that mental stress and the mental bandwidth and do a brain dump. And I just want to say, like, as we're backtracking, this process that I'm showing you is not set in stone. It's not black and white. Like, sometimes, it's good to do exactly what we just did and then do a brain dump. Like, how we
Mm-hmm.
did it is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
The intended way is to do the brain dump before we did what we just did. So this is a really good example of, like, you can't do this wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Just do all the steps, and as long as you do the steps, it's gonna it doesn't have to be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so tell me, just like, what's in your mind? What do you feel like you have to do this week to achieve your outcome for the week?
What do I feel like I have to do? I feel like I need to like post more like on social media, like on my
Mm-hmm.
story. I feel like I need to start back like making my workout videos. I feel like I definitely need to get more comfortable with just like speaking so that I can start doing like live videos.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I feel like I definitely need to, especially in this transitional space with the whole relationship thing, I need to really like take time to like care for my heart so that I can be present in what it is that I'm actually doing. Um, a lot of what's coming up for me is like a lot of my shadow stuff is coming up. So I
Mm-hmm.
definitely feel like I need to make time to practice like some type of like forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I feel that I should like declutter like some parts of my apartment. Like some stuff is kind of like messy, so I feel like I need to clean up. Um, I don't have any. It's funny because like all of a sudden it just went silent. Like
Yeah. All
it's
right,
like,
so you'll as we go through this process down here,
mm-hmm,
more things will come to you, and you might eliminate some of the things up here.
okay,
Okay, so basically, this whole process, it's like a mental process that really helps you to come up with what you really need to be doing.
mm-hmm,
It's like a mental exercise.
mm-hmm,
So again, this is like an example of how you don't need to do it exactly like in order.
mm-hmm.
Um, so we're going to go back here and say, what is the ultimate outcome for the week? Like, what do you want to feel this week? What do you want to achieve this week? It can be super practical. It can be super spiritual or whatever. Um,
Um,
oops.
sure. So this week I would like to bring in at least $3,000.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I would like to bring in at least $3,000, and I would like to like
Now,
come.
where do you want that $3,000 to go? Like $3,000 in your bank account?
Yes, $3,000
Okay.
directly into my bank account. And I would also like to come into a space of peace, like where I am. Like like with everything that's transitioning, it's kind of like a back and forth thing, but not really like fully in the present moment. Kind of like resenting a little bit of like what is like I'm leaving behind or losing or however you want to say, and then a little bit of angst about like what the future is gonna look like. But like I would like to like be all here, like in this present moment.
Mm. Okay.
And can I add one more thing?
Yes.
I want to like come into a space of acceptance about where the relationship is.
Um, so it's good to write these in past tense,
Ah,
or write it as either as it's happening now, like this is the outcome. Okay, so you're projecting yourself to the end of the week. By the end of the week, I've got $3,000 additional $3,000 in my bank account. I have peace in the present moment. I have come into a space of acceptance with my relationship. Okay.
I like that.
Yeah. All right, and then why? Why are those so important?
Those are so important for me, because ultimately in this space, I'm learning how to like take care of myself. Like on, and so being able to do that would be me, I feel like taking care of myself.
And why is it important to take care of yourself?
Because for so long, because I didn't have anybody to take care of me as a kid, I kind of feel like I've like wanted somebody else to do it, and I've sacrificed a lot of who I am to have somebody else do it.
And then what was the what happened when you had to rely on other people to take care of you?
They couldn't, like they didn't.
So why do you want to be taken care of now?
Because I feel like I owe that to myself. I feel like if I'm able to take care of myself, I can fully step authentically into who I am. I don't have to like pretend to be anything else. I can be me because I know that all of my needs are going to be met.
Awesome. Okay. And what can you achieve when you show up fully as yourself?
Anything. Like anything that I desire. Like if I can like fully and authentically like be who I am, like there's nothing that I can't do.
Awesome. Okay. All right. So now, do you have anything to add to your brain dump? How about taking care of yourself? Is there
Yep.
anything?
Yeah, taking care of myself, not reaching out to my ex. Um,
So if you're going to not reach out to your ex, what are you going to do instead?
I have no clue. I don't know.
Are you going to set boundaries with him? I mean, it's more about you. Set
Then
boundaries with yourself, because you
I
can't do
think
a
the no.
don't.
I think the no. It's. I'm glad that you're asking me that. But we said that it was a brain dump. That's not something that I really want to do.
Okay.
But I feel like the should. Like I should do that. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. All right. So keep going. Is there anything else you want to add to this? We had your 3 to thrive, right? Let's
Yeah.
add your 3 to thrive to this.
So exercise, um,
Mm-hmm.
some form of like self-expression, so journaling, like talking. I like talking to my phone and connecting with water. I guess you can say that instead of like listing all three.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't have anything else again.
Okay. All right. Yeah, and there might be more stuff that comes up, and that's okay. All right. So let's just do. Yeah, it's kind of getting towards the end here. So let's just do a couple of these.
So can I do the one that I want to do?
Yeah, go for it.
I think like what's really going to be good for me to go through the process with you is relationship with others.
Okay. All right. So what is your intention this week for relationships with others?
My intention this week for relationship with others is to release any guilt around like what I should be to people. If I don't know, does that make sense what I'm saying?
There's no guilt about what you.
About no, not should. There's no guilt
Okay.
about who I am.
Yes. Okay. Why? Why is that your outcome?
And that's my outcome because I have experienced immense suffering, like trying to like be something I'm not just for the sake of connection.
So, are you done with being with that suffering?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay. Yeah. Um, I'm done with suffering over who I am or who I'm supposed to be.
I'm done with suffering caused by pretending.
Oh, yeah. Love it. Okay. All right. Now, which of these goes here? Which of these actions lead to this outcome?
Making time for forgiveness and work with shadows.
Okay. Okay.
This is so cool.
Do you see anything else there under your brain dump?
Um, the don't reach out to X. I like that's one, but I'm not there. Like
Mm-hmm.
and that's just being honest. Like I'm not.
Well, can you think of something that's going to prevent you from reaching out to him? That's going to facilitate that?
Um, I think it's I don't know like something like immediate,
Mm-hmm.
other than like going through like the hurt, like just
Mm-hmm.
going through I guess like detaching the detaching process. But I
Mm-hmm.
definitely think like the forgiveness and the working with my shadow, like so much has come up with like allowing me to see, I guess like why I was even in the relationship, but it's not like immediate. Like
Okay.
it's like a process that I'm going through, if that makes sense.
So, a couple things. One, how about the self expression and journaling? Is that going to help you get clarity on
Yeah,
that?
yeah, well.
Okay. Um, and we can even add, I mean, that can kind of go under multiple categories.
Mhm.
And then you and I are going to talk pretty soon, and we can go through a process like that.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's this coming week, but that's something that you would put under there is like talk to Sarah. But you can
Mhm.
even reach out to me anyway, and I can, we can do a little bit more work on that together outside of this. Okay. So can you think of anything else? It's okay if there's just two, but is there anything else that will facilitate this outcome?
Well, this one thing I already decided is like I don't want to say struggle. Like I'm challenged often with like pride. And so like just like sometimes I won't even give myself permission to like this is naturally me, like give myself permission just to reach out to somebody and say like, hey, like I was thinking of you because I feel like I have to like have this like protective armor. And so like so just giving myself permission to like if I wanna like I guess that's still self-expression though. Like
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, if your outcome is there's no guilt about who I am, it sounds like the action would be like showing up as who you are.
Right, and that's why I mean, like, for example, like my brother recently started like a group text message like with my family, and typically like I can be like very bubbly and cheerful and like kind of like positive like, but my family is like the opposite, the exact opposite of that, and so like that. Like I would not like say what I would normally say in a group. Like if I'm talking to somebody that like really knows me and it really gets me, I would be like what they would say is like extra. I would be like, hey, like this sunshine, like type of thing. But with them, I just keep it real, like short and like quaint, like hey, and just. But that's not really who I am.
And that's not who you are.
Right.
So let's come up with one action step to practice being who you are. Is it a conversation with somebody? Is it a video? Is it?
So it's a conversation. This morning after meditation, I was guided to have a conversation. I know this may sound tricky, but it's really for me. With my ex's mom, like our wounding is exactly the same. And like I realized that a lot of the issues in the relationship with she and I was because of like my inability to see myself. And so because I can see myself now, like I don't know, I feel led to like have a conversation and offer her forgiveness and then ask for like, ask her for forgiveness, not anything dealing with him per se, but just like as two people who we really have the same soul journey. And I didn't really see that at first. I saw her as like an enemy. But she's not. Like she's so much like me. And I think I didn't like her as much as because I didn't understand that part of myself.
So interesting. And that sounds so powerful. So you're going to have a conversation with your ex's mom?
Yeah, on Wednesday.
Okay, awesome. You've already got a day for that. Cool. All right, so we're kind of winding down to the end of the time that we have for this training. Okay. But this is what you're going to do. We've completed this category, and we've done most of business, except there's we can just like, this will just go there. This will go there.
This is so amazing.
And then you just go through the same process for the rest of it. And like I said, this is very fluid. You might find out you don't want one of those categories this week. You might find out you just want to focus on two things because they're so important. Or you might find out there's another category that you didn't put in here. All right, so we're going to pretend we did all of these. And then we're going to go through, let's see if I can make this a little bit smaller so we can see it all. No, that's not going to work. Okay, so we've got business. Oh, okay, it's just these things. Business, relationship with self, relationship with others, personal health, personal expression. So what comes first? What's the most important thing to, what was your ultimate intention in life? Where did we put, personal truth, and freedom in expression.
Mm-hmm.
And then your ultimate outcome for the week, to have an additional $3,000 in the bank account and have peace in the present moment, come to a space of acceptance and certainty. What's the number one thing out of these 4 or 5 categories that are going to get you to this outcome?
Business.
Okay. So let's see. These are all, I have these numbers here. Ideally, I would not have those numbers there.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to put number 1. Okay. What's number 2?
Number 2 is relationship with self.
Okay. You can tell that Brittany's already done a lot of work here because she knows, like, that's a very smart number 2. It always begins with ourselves. All right. What's number 3?
Personal expression.
Okay. Oops. Okay, and what's the 4th? Go ahead.
The 4th is personal health, but I would say just for this week only.
Mm-hmm.
I think relationship with others is above it, just because, like I said, I just feel like this immense, like, heart opening, and it is requiring like forgiveness and stuff like that.
Okay. And here's the thing is, you're going to be doing this every single week, assuming that you want to continue this process, and you'll find out what gets different outcomes. And so it's a big experimentation. So you, play around with different orders. All right. And then this is number 5. Okay. Now, what you're going to do, is we have prioritized our categories. The next thing is to prioritize the steps, okay? So you're going to go back through and say, okay, we've got all of these, all these things prioritized, and now we're going to go back and prioritize each action step based on, like, we're going to start with number 1. Okay, so what's the most important thing for business out of these 3 action steps?
Out of the 3 that we have here, I would say make more workout videos.
Okay, so number 1. Oops. Oh my gosh, what am I doing? All right. Number 2.
Wow, now I'm seeing how you said, like, more brain dump ideas are coming up, because they're coming up now. But on this list that we have, I'm gonna say posting more, like just making myself more visible.
Okay. Do you have, and you said you have more stuff coming to your mind that you need to do. Do you have, is that under business or something else?
Yeah, it's under business.
Okay, what is it?
I'm working on a program that's more higher end, so definitely to like, I have the outline, but to start filling the outline in, like, that's, if I could sell one of those, like, that would be my weekly goal.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for the week, and there's another process we can do around projects, which is what you're talking about, but just for right now, so what would you want to do this week on that?
I want to get clear on my copy, explaining, like, what the process actually is and what I'm offering and what the person would be getting, if that makes sense.
Like the sales copy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I already have the outline, I just have to fill everything in.
Okay. So you're clear on the sales copy for your high-end program? Okay. Okay, so what's number 3 for this action list?
Actually, the get clear on the thing, that would be number 1, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. And then 2 would be the workout videos, and then 3 would be post more.
Okay. And then get comfortable with speaking is 4.
Live.
What?
I just said live, like the
Okay,
dress.
yeah, live. I think it's going to be so natural for you, Brittany. It's like
That's
you're
what,
already speaking into your phone.
that's what people say, but it's just something like they don't see the nervousness, but like I
Yeah.
see it, and it's so
And
intense.
here's the thing: is a thing that we have the most resistance to is a thing that is like our gift.
It
That's the
is,
thing that
and
we're
that's
like
what
supposed to
people
be
tell
doing.
me. That's what people tell me.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, I'm glad that you're going to start doing that this week then. All right. And then even like when you go back and fill in this worksheet for yourself, get more specific with this. Like, what's the actual action step you're going to do with that?
Okay.
So let's see. And then we'll do this one because we filled this in. So what's the first priority out of these 3?
It's actually is in order.
Okay, awesome. So
One,
number
two,
one, number 2, number 3. Okay, so now we're going to pretend that we've done this for the whole thing, for these 5 outcomes categories. And so the next step is to, like, some people, or with me, oftentimes I'll have like 10 things, 10 action steps. And so it's important to put an asterisk next to the top 3 because it's like, come on, Sarah, do you really, this week right in front of you, do you really need to do 10 things for your business? Right? Maybe, but there's probably only 3 that really have to get done this week.
Right. And that's good that you say that because that's what happens to me. Like it's so much pressure to it. It's hard to take action.
Yeah. And I apologize. My video just turned off because my USB port is messed up. So.
Oh, it's okay.
All right. So now is time to delegate if you can. So go through each one of these categories and each of your action steps and delegate. Like, some people are going to have like a VA, or they're going to have people that they've hired, or they're going to have like just people in their family who can do some of these things. If you can delegate at all, then do that, because you're not supposed to do it all on your own. Okay. So whatever you can delegate, take care of that now, or just like highlight it or put a note next to it, like who are you going to delegate that to.
We can highlight the make more workout videos and post on social media. This is so good because I literally this morning got the idea to like offer somebody training, like because at this point I can't, I'm not I don't want to say I can't, I don't know how to say it, but like in terms of like finances, like it's better to like do like a bartering. And I got the idea to do that this morning to like offer somebody like free training, and then they like record us and like help me post on social media. So yeah.
Awesome. Perfect. See, that's getting really resourceful, where like a lot of people would be like, oh, I can't do that because they're maybe not in like a position to do it, or it's just not it's not appropriate to do it at this time. But that's a really awesome solution to that issue. And that's gonna even further progress what you're doing. Okay, so now you've only got 3 things here. So now, because this is your number 1 priority, we're going to put these on your calendar in order of importance. So the first thing you're going to put on your calendar right now, or as you're doing this, is this: get clear in your sales copy high-end program. So you're going to get a little more specific with that, like what's the actual action step, and you're going to put it on your calendar in like the first spot available, because this is in order of priority. So you're going to do this first. Like you're actually going to get this done first.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, so we're going to backtrack. All right. We're going to backtrack and we're going to say, how long is this going to take you?
Which one? What the?
Get comfortable speaking to do live videos. And this isn't really a specific action step yet. But would that say be like practicing? Like, will you practice?
Yeah.
Will you do like a live video?
Oh, I don't. We'll see. Okay, I can do at minimum. I can do this. I can do a recorded video.
Okay, awesome. So I'll just say via recorded. Okay. And how long is it going to take you to make that recorded video? Being realistic, giving yourself way extra time than you think you need.
About an hour and a half.
Okay. So I like to put it in like this 1.30, because you're going to have like 15 minutes, 30 minutes for certain things. Okay. So to be consistent, that's a good format to use. All right. How long is it going to take you to post more on social media? What does that mean? Like, do you want to post every day?
Yeah, I want to post at least something every day.
Okay.
So that I would say maybe like 30 minutes. If it's a post, it's only going to take a few minutes, but like if I'm making like a meme or something, it takes me a little time to create it.
Okay. Now here's something really awesome about coming up with these times is, on the one hand, you could say, okay, how long is this going to take me? And on the other hand, you're going to say, how long will I let this take? Because you can spend all day making memes.
That's good for me.
So how long do you want it to take you?
No more than 30 minutes.
Per day, right?
Per day.
So is that 7 days a week or 5 days a week? Or
for the sake of being honest with myself, we're going to start off with 5.
Okay. So this is going to be 2.5 hours. Okay. Get clear on your sales copy for high-end program. How are you going to do that? Do you have like a training, or do you have a process you're going to use to get clear on that?
Yep, I'm in a training right now, and so what happens is like I have, like I said, I have like an outline. I just have to fill it in, and I need to I miss there's a call every Monday and Thursday, so this needs filling the outline in needs to happen by Thursday, even if it's just a rough draft. But I need to know, like I said, I need to have a really good explanation of what it's offering exactly, what the outcome is, and then just explaining each thing that's going to be included in it.
So when you say get clear, you mean come up with a rough draft?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yep.
Okay. Oops. Would you say that's like a sales page?
Yep, it actually is.
Okay. How long is it going to take you to do that sales page?
Okay, so we're going to use your wording and say I'm going to allow it to take me we're going to say 4 hours.
Okay. Just so you know, and I think that's great for a rough draft. So I'll say 4. For professional copywriters who do sales pages as their profession, I've heard some people will spend an entire month just on a sales page, or I mean, everybody's different, but I've heard from high-end copywriters making sales pages, they put significant time into them, because this is if you're, anyway, so the reason I'm mentioning that is you can allow more time for something like this because it's so important to the sales. depending on, I know there's a lot of people watching and listening, depending on what your specific plan is. This is for Brittany, who's got a specific model that she's following. So for her, and we haven't talked too much about this, Brittany, so I don't want to make a generalization. But for people who are using a sales page to make sales, and that's one of their main conversion strategies, then it's okay to spend a lot of time crafting that. For people who are putting more of their effort into like where the sales page is just kind of like the end where they just go to sign up and they're not going to really be looking at the sales page much, it's not as big of a deal. I just wanted to clarify that.
And that's what it is more so, like the
okay.
Yep.
Okay, because sometimes people, it's like they make all of their sales by emailing sales pages.
Right.
And so you've got to have a really good sales page if that's what you're doing. But
right.
If you're going to be like really communicating with people and your sales process is before they get to the sales page, then you don't need to spend as much time.
Yep, they talked to me before the sales page, so I'm more so just directing them to the sales page.
Awesome. Okay, so perfect. All right. So then you're going to go and do that for every other category. So you're going to go in order. So this is number 1, business. Number 2 is relationship with yourself. Then you're going to go and come up with how long is everything going to take, categorize it. And then once you have done that for all of your categories, you're going to start transferring it to your calendar. So you're going to put on, the first thing you're going to put on your calendar is this one. Get clear on, do that rough draft for your sales page. That's going to take 4 hours. So you can do that over, you can choose to do it over like 2 days. You could do it all at once, or you could do it over 4 days. What do you think would work best for your style? How do you work the best? To get it done all at once or do it in little chunks?
To get it done in little chunks, so probably like 2 hours one day and 2 hours another day, but I have to have it done by Thursday.
Okay. So in this case, where today's Monday, so you could potentially do it today and then do it tomorrow. So you block off wherever you have the next space available, you block off 2 hours one day, 2 hours the next day. Or because you have kind of a time crunch with it, 2 hours in the morning and then 2 hours in the evening. And just give yourself some time, but block that time off. So in that 2 hour block, you're not going to do anything else. You're going to close all your windows, you're going to turn off your phone, and you're just going to work on that sales page. Okay. And then you're going to do the same thing for everything else. So you're going to say, okay, social media, that's, social media is something you're going to be doing every day for 30 minutes. I'm just going to right here do 30 times 5. Okay, so you're going to do that 30 minutes a day. So block off right now, and you could either literally do it right now live or like when we get off this call, but block off 30 minutes each day of the week, 5 times. And that's when you're going to post on social media.
Got it.
Okay. And then you're going to record a video. It's going to take you an hour and a half. So when's the next block available where you have an hour and a half? Block that off. And we're doing it in time sequential order now, because we've already prioritized everything else. We don't have to think about when am I going to do this. You literally just go, when is the next time available? Does that make sense?
Yep.
Now, some people, like you may have in your calendar already, you may have appointments and meetings. And so those obviously are the highest priority over all of these things because they're already in your calendar. So you're just going to work around those. And as you get used to this process, you're going to figure out when are my consistent time blocks? And you can set up consistent time blocks for meetings and for calls, like coaching calls or whatever it is that you do on a consistent basis. And maybe you have, like, every single week, every single day, you have a time block that is posting on social media, and so you get into a routine with it. You don't have to think about it anymore because it's all automated.
Right.
And so it frees up your mental bandwidth, and you always know that's okay. This is the beginning of my work day. The first thing I do is I post on social media. And you have to kind of think about, what is your flow? Like, if you post on social media first thing in the day, are you going to get distracted? And is that going to, like, start leaking into other things that you want to be doing? Maybe it's like doing some heavy lifting stuff first, or maybe posting on social media is better for you to do first because it's more fun for you, if that's the case, you know? So just think about your natural workflow and go with that. And it's probably going to take a little bit of trial and error to figure out, okay, this week worked really well because of these things, or this week didn't really work that well. I wasn't as productive as I wanted to be because I was getting too distracted with these things that I did first when I should have saved them for last, as an example. So that is the basic process. There's actually more to it, but I don't want to overwhelm people. And this is a great start. Just by getting started with these things we've talked about is going to really help you to not only become more productive, but what you're going to find happening is when you go through this mental exercise, you're going to find that you don't even have to think about doing stuff as much anymore. Things just naturally happen. You may not even have to look at your schedule or this list for the rest of the week because it's so locked into your brain. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, because you've done so much. There's so much intention to it. There's so much thought process around it, and there's so much heart involved in it. And so you're going to find that it just flows naturally. And it's not going to feel like work to get these things done because there's so much meaning behind it.
Right.
So, do you have any questions?
No, like this is really like an answer to a prayer. Like it's like.
Uh-oh, I think we lost you. Oh no, Brittany. Oh, hello? 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 Can you guys hear me? Hello? Anybody hear me? So I'm not sure if people can hear my sound. Let me just see if anybody shared a comment. Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm trying to type in here. Okay, we can hear you. Awesome. Thank you.
I've lost you guys. I don't know what happened. Sorry.
Oh, it's okay. I thought it was my end because I couldn't hear. Hold on a second. Let me set this back up. Okay. Can you hear me, Brittany?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. So do you have any questions?
No, I don't. I think the process is pretty self-explanatory, and it's just like taking the time to like fill everything in. But I guess like once I get into the flow of like actually doing it, maybe something will come up. But it's pretty brilliant.
Awesome. Awesome. Does anybody else have questions? I can see Angelica's here and Nikki's here. I think Nikki may not be able to talk right now. All right, well, for everybody who's listening to the replay, type any questions or comments or takeaways in the comments, and then I can respond to you there.
I have a
Okay.
question real
Yeah.
quick, Sarah. How long should this process take each
It's
week?
going to take, so it used to take me like 2 hours, and that is okay, because what you're doing is you are, and it still does take me 2 hours sometimes, and what you're doing through this process is you are like playing it out. Like I said, this is like part of law of attraction. You're literally playing out how your week is going to go before you even do it. So you're going to find when you actually go to implement your week, it's going to take way less time than if you did not do this process, because you've already done the thinking. You've already done the legwork. You've already made the decisions. You've already gotten intentional. So now it's just like, it's kind of like going through the motions. That sounds really boring. That sounds, not very exciting, but it's exciting while you're doing it. It's like, just kind of playing it all out is how I think of it. It's like we've designed it, we've set it all up, we've set it in motion, and now it's just time to like go and play it out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. It just, to be honest, it feels like I don't have 2 hours to do
well,
that.
this is going to create 2 hours. Okay. So this is going to create, so when I first posted this, my question was, do you want to have 3 extra hours a day? So what this process is doing, Nikki, is it is eliminating all of the fluff from your life. And like I said, there's a little bit more to this that we could talk on an individual basis. And if anybody wants to do that, just let me know and we can go deeper with this. But notice how we didn't, in this plan for the week, we didn't say like watching TV, scrolling through social media, certain things, watching, I don't know, everybody's got the different fluff things in their lives. So we didn't put any of those on this list, which means those are going to go to the lowest priority, and they may not even happen anymore, or they may happen on a minimal level. So a lot of people, what you would find in really investigating in your life is you probably spend 1 to 3 hours doing things that are not serving your higher purpose and are actually taking you away from that.
Yeah.
So this process is going to help eliminate those things and put you more in a intentional, thriving space. So it's worth the investment of like every Friday blocking off 2 hours, or even Saturday or Sunday, like whenever it's going to work for you, block off 2 hours and do this process. And you're going to find that the more you do it, the less time it's going to take you. So any other questions? That was a great question, Nikki. Thank you so much for asking. I used to feel the same way. I'd feel like, oh my gosh, I'm spending so much time on this plan. Is it really even worth it? And what I've noticed is when I don't do the plan, I waste so much time doing meaningless crap that gets me nowhere. And I end up like on that hamster wheel. But when I do this plan, it just gets me laser focused so that I can get the things I need to do done. And it almost always takes me less time than I anticipated. And I get more done. So thank you all so much for coming. Thank you, Brittany, for being willing to be our example today. I hope this was helpful for you. And I hope this was helpful for all of you watching and listening to this process. And again, There really is more than I was able to do in this hour and a half time that we spent doing this. So if you want to go deeper and you want me to help you with your unique situation and elaborate on this whole process and mindset, then just let me know and we can set up a time to talk. So have a wonderful evening and we'll talk soon.
Thanks so much, Sarah.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.